Shabbat Shalom. Our service tonight started with a famous song. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, והעיקר לא לפחד כלל. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and the main thing is to have no fear at all, לא לפחד כלל. I thought before yesterday actually, when I made my research, that this song was originally written by Rabbi Nachman from Breslov. However, the song is based on the Rabbi Nachman's texts, but the lyrics are written by another rabbi, Rabbi Baruch Chait. He was inspired by the writing of Rabbi Nachman. And this is the text you can see, this is the song lyrics you can see on the screen. But the original text said something different. In his work, Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman writes, ודע כשאדם צריך לעבור על גשר צר מאוד, you should know that when a person must cross a narrow bridge, והכלל והעיקר שלא יתפחד כלל. The general principle and the essential thing is not to frighten yourself at all. The lyrics, the difference between the song and the original text is inessential, and the poetic license which Baruch Chait took when he wrote the song, the lyrics, worked well to reflect the main meaning of the original text. However, I think that Nachman's quote is slightly more nuanced. Instead of לפחד, to fear, he uses the reflective form of the verse, להתפחד, to frighten yourself. On the one hand, fear is an important survival mechanism for all of us. It protects us from danger. It stops us when we need to stop. It saves lives. However, on the other hand, there should be a balance between natural fear and the fear which paralyzes you from doing what you need to do. We are now afraid to touch anything in public. We are afraid to share our concerns with others because we think that everybody is too overwhelmed and we don't want to burden them. We are sometimes afraid to go to hospital nowadays with anything rather than COVID-19 because we think that there will be a public disapproval of adding an additional burden, an additional work to doctors now. Perhaps we're afraid to ask for help because we are not used to it and don't know how people would react. Franklin Roosevelt said in his inaugural address in 1933, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance." What if we need to go to a doctor? What if support to other people are the key to your question? What if asking for help is what you need now? Don't be afraid, לא לפחד, or rather, לא להתפחד. Do not add fear on yourself. We are all in it together, and all of us are here to help one another. Rav Nachman wrote the original piece to encourage his followers not to despair in their spiritual journey. The context of the quote is when you come too close to the divine, to something special, something unusual you've never experienced before, the unique spiritual experience, some people may be frightened to go further or even paralyzed. Therefore, Rav Nachman concludes this passage writing with the following. You should understand the power of encouraging yourself and never yield to despair, no matter what happens. The main thing is always try to be happy, to gladden yourself in any way possible. Rav Nachman was born in April 4th, the 4th of 1772 in Uman, now Ukraine, and died on October the 16th, 1810. He knew well that narrow bridge and its terrors. He lived in the world of massacres and pogroms. He knew despair and depression, and yet he taught his followers to hope and to sing. Today is the 8th day of Omer, the symbolic counting of 50 days between Pesach and Shavuot. Our tradition links two festivals together, the festival of liberation from Egypt to the festival of national unity, receiving of the Torah, of the law, of teaching. The word Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim, coming from the same root as the word tsar, narrow, as in Gesher Tsar Meot, very narrow bridge. On the metaphorical level, the exodus from Egypt becomes a journey from the narrow place, from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, from the narrow place, to the promised land of milk and honey. And perhaps we should add today that it's not only milk and honey, but hand sanitizer, pasta, rice, and some other things which disappeared from our shops for a while. Rabbi David Wolpe noticed that Rabbi Nachman did not compare the world to a field on which we might rest, but to a bridge, the symbol of passage, of journey. And the secret is not to find a safe place, but to navigate the narrow crossing and remain unafraid. The journey from slavery to freedom is a narrow bridge. There is no way back. There is only one way forward, and the bridge is fragile. The journey is not something many of us would choose to go to, but now we have to go through it. The journey is difficult, scary, sometimes dangerous, sometimes boring or exhausting. People are stiff-necked, often too proud and unwilling to do what is necessary. Our leaders make mistakes on the way because they are people, and all people make mistakes, like us. But the main thing, הכלל והעיקר, שלא להתפחד כלל, is not to frighten yourself, not to add to your fear. The main thing is always trying to be happy, to gladden yourself in any way possible. The main thing is to navigate the narrow crossing and remain unafraid, hopeful, grateful for what we have. Help each other and know that there is a promised land waiting ahead. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.